When I say I hated college, I mean I absolutely despised every second of it. They said it was supposed to be the 4 best years of your life. I immediately went into a depressive, anxious spiral that took me a very long time to get out of. I felt immediately socially isolated. I hated the actual coursework. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. So, what was the point of me even being there? I'm doing all these prerequisite classes, which are so stupid. If you're not from the US, you basically have to knock out like 2 years worth of basic liberal arts biology, math courses, English courses, just to get started on whatever your declared major is going to be. So I really hated that. Not taking the coursework, not having a social life, really getting in my head immediately when I get there. From like high school into college, my head was spinning. I immediately knew that it wasn't going to be for me. It actually took me a few years to finally pull the trigger. It had been on my mind for a while. I'd had a few experiences that inspired me and made me think, wow, okay, maybe I can pull the trigger on another direction. One day I'm in the parking lot, waiting in my car, just looking at the phone, like had my dad's contact pulled up. And I'm like, okay, this is it. I'm going to finally pull the trigger. I'm going to call my dad, tell him I am not going to school anymore. No backup plan, like no business started, no job lined up, just a little bit of money saved up and a loose idea of an adventurous road ahead of me. I eventually made that call after minutes of staring at the phone. And now, 10 years later, or whatever it is, I am a freedive instructor living on an island in the Caribbean in Honduras. And life is pretty good. It's been a long road to get here, and I don't want to bore y'all with all of the details, but I'll give y'all a brief outline maybe and share some of the best lessons that I learned along the way. The first step in this adventure of mine is driving my busted ass car all the way from Mississippi to Marin County, California. That trip took a total of 3 days of driving. I had a job lined up on a farm through a website called Woofing. I've recommended this in the past. It is a great way to start doing something different, do something new, go do something that you've never done before by yourself. That's what I did. I had no plans, no people around me coming with me. I was going to the other side of the country solo and just seeing what was going to happen. And yeah, I was nervous as hell to do this, of course, but what's the alternative in that situation? I mean, I was drowning at school, like spiritually, mentally, physically, even. I couldn't handle that anymore. And so the discomfort of staying there, the thought that, wow, if I stick through this college thing just because that's what everybody wants me to do, and then get a job because that's what everybody wants me to do, then that's 40 years of a life just led by what other people are telling me to do. And I'm not down for that. And I'm glad that I realized that from an early age. But yeah, I got out to this beautiful farm out there and almost immediately felt way more at peace. I mean, I did immediately feel way more at peace there than the past however many years of my life at college. Okay. I had my own yurt. I had fresh food, fresh eggs, right grown right next to me. I'm living on a farm. It's beautiful. I had my own place to stay. And eventually I get a roommate who is John, who we hit it off perfectly. We just traveled around the area that we were in, did some hiking. He taught me how to rock climb. And it's like immediately there's a friend that I'm connecting with. Like within like a month of me being there, I finally get a roommate, a friend who's on this same adventurous wavelength of mine, who we agree, like, yeah, dude, I hated college, hated school. And it's like, wow, there's people out there like me. They just had to travel all the way from Mississippi to California to meet them. And then eventually we befriended one of our neighbors who was also volunteering on a different farm. And yeah, we cooked dinners together. We would just drive around going through all the hikes in the mountains and things in the Marin County foothills, the foothills of Marin County, whatever it's called. Beautiful part of the country. And I was able to get there all because I took a chance and drove across the country. Now I got a taste for it, right? I got a taste for the adventure. So my next move was actually doing one thing I'd always wanted to do, which was becoming a ski bum. Yes, I drove to Vail, Colorado, where I got a job through a cousin working as a ski valet. If you don't know what that is, it is a guy who carries skis from the hotel I was working at to the foothills of the foothills to the gondola. So rich people basically don't have to carry their skis all the way from the hotel to the gondola, which was like 100 yards, maybe. But I didn't mind it. I was getting a good workout in every day, and there my social circle just exploded. It was nothing but people my age, dropouts, kind of people who didn't really fit in, all doing one thing that they loved, which was snowboarding. We were all having such a good time together. We lived like in the same employee housing. So you just go rock right up into somebody's apartment, see what they were doing at any time of the day. We all worked together. We all had a great time hanging out, partying, drinking, and then going snowboarding together in our free time. And it was amazing. And now this was further confirmation that, like, oh, hell yeah, this is a beautiful way of experiencing what I've really always wanted to experience, like a sense of belonging, a social circle, actually, for once, that's like based on me being me, not be trying to be somebody else, but I can be authentically myself in this really unique, interesting cluster of people, all of us in this one like umbrella weird family of working at this hotel. It was really beautiful and magnificent. And I got a ton of snowboarding in the beautiful Vail Mountains. Say what you will about Vail Resorts as a company. I'll hold my tongue on this one. But yeah, I had a good time while I was there. After that, okay, this video is gonna get a little long. I'll try to cut this short. After that, worked a lot there, saved up money, bought crypto while I was in Vail. Boy, howdy. Looking at my early emails of buying Ethereum for like $10, yeah, that's regret right there because that money, I still have some of it, but I should be a zillionaire. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, use some of that money to go backpack Southeast Asia. And same thing essentially. I am on a whole different side of the planet now, completely solo. I am solo dolo doing this, which is why I preach that everybody should do this stuff. I am all over Southeast Asia. I end up getting like a Thai girlfriend for a few months. I ended up staying with her and backpacking just through the Philippines were amazing, learning to surf there, Indonesia, Cambodia, the whole way staying in party hostels. Hostels are just dorm rooms, basically, like really cheap, $10 a night ways to stay. That's why people always say travel is expensive. Like, it's cheaper than living in America, that's for sure. Because if you're like bumming it, if you're a backpacker, cooking your own meals on the road, staying in hostels, it is a cheap experience. But anyway, yeah, staying in hostels is also a great way to meet very like minded people. You know, it's awesome because you get to experience these travels and these adventures with other people who want to experience travel and adventure. And one of the main topics of conversation when you go on these trips is everybody gathering around, like, yeah, people back home, they just aren't like this. I try to convince my friends to come traveling and they just don't want to. And now, like, I feel more connected with these people that I've met just that night than I do to my friends who I've met for years. And that's a theme, honestly, in my life, like feeling more connected to people that I meet on the road for very brief periods of time than I do to my friends who I've known for years and years and years. Which say of that whatever you will, right? But I mean, it goes to show that there's real power in connecting with people who have a like mind with you. And especially if you work at a hostel. After my stint in Southeast Asia, that's when I went to work at a hostel in New Orleans, where it was more of the same. I was actually in an American city, working at a cool hostel, having a grand old time. This was right before the big pan D, actually. So I got my last kicks in New Orleans before everything shut down. So I'm not going to give you any of these crazy stories there, but just know that if you have any sense of not knowing what to do with your life, exploring these new lands with new people is something you have to do. And you should do it by yourself so you can actually get a fucking idea of who you are as a person. Because you're not going to figure out who you are as a person staring at Discord, playing CS2 for 12 hours a day, or doom scrolling 12 hours a day, bitching about your job online and bitching about girls online in the comment section on other COD commentary videos. I'm sick of that shit. And so, yeah, that's why I made this video. Then went and worked in Guatemala. I was hosting parties. I went from not having a social life whatsoever to hosting over 10,000 backpackers with parties in Guatemala. Okay, that was crazy. All right. And I had a wild, fun time. And I learned a lot about myself and how I interact with people. And this is what I want for y'all out there, okay? That's why I'm making all these videos. There is so much to be learned on the road. You guys gotta do it. If you don't, get up out my trap house. And then I ended up discovering free diving while I was traveling around in Mexico. And you're probably like, how in the world is he affording all of this? First of all, I would come back to the States and work a job every once in a while to save up money. Second of all, I was pretty good with crypto. Third of all, I live extremely cheap and I sold all of my stuff. I would work, buy a car, sell a car just to fund trips. Like you can flip things, you can work jobs, save money, live extremely cheap. I guess I lived in Mississippi, which is like the cheapest place to live. So that's one thing that worked in my favor living in the deep south. But get creative. There's ways that you can fund all this. And now it doesn't even matter because I got a paid job in Honduras. I'm not making a ton of money, but I live on an island and it's beautiful. It's wonderful. It's fun. I get to teach people breath work. I'm getting in insane shape because freediving burns a lot of calories. And yeah, I think that's just the story that I want to get out and tell you guys how I got here, why I'm doing what I'm doing, and hopefully y'all can get some insight from it. Let me know if you hate me, if you love me, like, comment, subscribe, either way. And my name is Easy, aka Charlie. That's part of my story. Peace.